Hey guys, it's Tuesday, January 17th, and this is Newswave. So the first big piece of news comes from the Switch, of course. That's like everything's about the Switch right now. But during the Japanese Treehouse that they showed, they had a whole event, obviously, very similar to US's Treehouse. And they actually showed footage from different games that the United States Treehouse did not see. And a big example was actually Mario Odyssey. They actually had full gameplay of it, and it actually looked pretty good. I think they're still in like an alpha or beta build right now. I don't think it's completely done. I think there's a lot of stuff they still need to iron out, which is really just like things like anti-aliasing around edges to smooth them out. But overall, Mario's character sprite actually looked really good. Some of the backgrounds, like I said, looked a little iffy, but other ones looked very nice too. I really like the art style of this game, and seeing it in motion, it runs at a very clean frame rate, like very clean, with, from what I can tell, no slowdown. So the game itself looks awesome. My only gripe is I wish it was coming out sooner, but again, I understand that you need to stagger releases. They need stuff for the holidays. As a fan of Mario, I would like to see it released, but I understand why they are not doing that. As you guys know, I really can't show you any footage of Mario Odyssey, otherwise they will claim the video, but I will leave a link in the description below for you guys so you can go check it out for yourself. It's a lot of fun. It was actually a pretty long gameplay session, and you actually have the person, from what we could tell, playing Mario Odyssey, and there were a lot of reports coming out that it was at least ready to the point where you could play it, and they're just holding it for release in holiday. I still think there's a lot of stuff visually they will iron out with the backgrounds, but there is a chance that it may have been at least playable, and they just want to hold it off, maybe even to E3 where it's playable and they're more comfortable with the way it looks. There's a chance that parts of that city that they're running around in weren't finished, and they didn't want people to explore and then report that the game is like broken. And if you're looking forward to Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil Biohazard, you may want to stay off the internet, at least be wary of the internet for the next week or so up till release, because based on some reports, copies of Resident Evil Biohazard are leaking currently and will start to really leak tomorrow. So a ton of different retail sites and outlet stores are starting to leak this game starting today, going into tomorrow, which a lot of people pick it up today, and you'll probably see leaks and stuff tomorrow and going forward up till release in the rest of the world, United States, etc. And it's happening in Saudi Arabia. Basically, stores are advertising they're just gonna sell it today, and they're basically just release it early. And of course, you know what that means. It means people are going to play it, they're going to look at all the secrets and hidden things and start to basically just put out spoilers essentially. So be very careful over the next week. If you are really looking forward to Resident Evil, you may have it spoiled for you otherwise. In a recent interview with CNET, Reggie, as we all know, basically spokesperson for President of America. We see him all over the place. Hey, he seems like an awesome dude, obviously. We're all big fans of him if you're a Nintendo fan. And he had an interview with CNET, talked about their online service, about how it's going to cost money. And he tells us basically, look, if we set up servers for things like Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, all these big multiplayer games, it's going to be a costly endeavor. It's not going to be cheap to stand servers up for these games. And you know what? I understand that. If they are actually providing dedicated servers for these games, yes, you should charge for that just because it's costly. Also, the Xbox One and the PS4, Microsoft, Sony seem to get away with it. And at times, some of the games are just player to player, and you don't actually like peer to peer, and you don't actually have a dedicated server a lot of times. Sometimes you do, obviously. I know Battlefield was really big into doing dedicated servers, but that was up to the company that was producing it at the time, which was EA. So, you know what? If Nintendo themselves are going to provide dedicated servers for very tournament-heavy games like Smash Brothers to reduce latency, I think a lot of people would pay for that online service if they know they're getting a quality online experience. Now, on the other hand, if they're getting a crappy experience, I understand why they wouldn't want to pay for it, and then the money feels wasted. So, if I've said it before, if Nintendo's going to charge for online, they need to do it right. I think dedicated servers is a great way to really bring in that hardcore gamer lot, you know, so you have a game that is equal on either side. Everyone is connected to one server. Somebody's not hosting, which is not fun for a fighting game if somebody is hosting. Even shooters can get really annoying that way. So if they're standing up servers and they're all dedicated servers for different games to give us a better experience, I don't see why they can't charge for that. And unsurprising to anyone, Switch pre-orders are pretty much sold out everywhere now. I was fortunate to get mine pre-ordered. I hope you were too. I went out that day, got it pre-ordered, and the GameStop I went to said that they had 48 allotted to them. They only had 20 or so left when I got there, so I'm very fortunate I got there when I did. But apparently a lot of these are selling out everywhere. And of course, people online are saying, oh, Nintendo is artificially creating demand. No, they're not. GameStop was allotted actually a large number. They were allotted 500,000 units, just GameStop. You have other places like Best Buy and Walmart, of course, getting allotments as well, and Amazon got allotments. There's a chance that just that first allotment for pre-orders was over 1 million units, probably 1.2 to 1.3, depending on how they divvied it up. And that's actually pretty good for pre-orders. This would easily eclipse things like how the Wii initially sold with 600,000 units when they launched. Well, the Switch, based on what Nintendo is telling us, they are projecting to have 2 million units ready to go throughout March, which would, if all those sell, which I'm pretty confident they will all sell through, that would put it right on pace with the PS4 and the Xbox One's first months. So if you're saying Nintendo is artificially creating hype and demand for this by lessening the supply of the systems, in that case, Microsoft and Sony did the same thing with the PS4 and the Xbox One. And if you'd all played TitanFall, the Frontline game, the one that was on the mobile phone, they had a beta going on. And apparently it didn't do well because they canceled the game already. Now, mobile games, I understand, especially ones that are companion games of the main one, like Titanfall, for example, Titanfall 2. They had Titanfall Frontline. It was going to be like a card-based game kind of on the mobile devices, and didn't go well, so they cancel it. Again, you can get lost very easily in this very fast-paced mobile market. And I understand that. It's a shame because apparently they put a lot of time and effort into it, and it just didn't work. So yes, if you were looking forward to Titanfall Frontline for the mobile phones and tablets, sorry, they canceled it. And once again, Nintendo sends a cease and desist for a mod in a game this time, not technically a fully modified reimagined game, but an actual just straight up mod. And you may have seen this. This is the mod for Ark, which instead of having dinosaurs in the world, you actually have Pokemon now that you can hunt, catch, you can ride them. And they did things like put in Rapidash, and they put in Ninetales, Gyarados made an appearance. And this was all done on Steam's Workshop. Well, Nintendo took exception to this and just struck them down, sent basically a decent assist, DMCA, and at this point, the mod is probably going to disappear. So if you're interested in it, I would go to Steam Workshop while it's up, which I think it's still up now. It's coming down soon. And download it if you can. Now, this mod was interesting because the modders even admitted that all of the units were pulled directly from Pokemon X and Y from what they were saying, and just kind of fitted and formed to fit in Ark over the dinosaurs, basically. So I understand Nintendo's annoyance here because they have essentially stolen sprites and artwork and everything and put them into another game. Yes, it's fun. It's a cool idea. It's kind of creative even, but you really can't take other people's intellectual properties, put them in a game like that without altering or doing anything creative. And what I mean by that is while the idea is creative, obviously, to change dinosaurs into Pokemon, you didn't change the figures at all or do anything to make it even look a little different from what's in X and Y. So yeah, you're going to get hit with some kind of takedown notice. And in the last bit of news today, we saw some pretty interesting size comparisons for the Switch compared to things like the 3DS XL, other tablets, the Wii U gamepad even, and man, the Switch without the Joy-Cons looks absolutely tiny. While the screen is a decent size at 6.2 inches, especially as a mobile device, when you actually look at it, the screen is pretty much the whole front of it just about. I mean, the bezels aren't huge, obviously. It's very thin, and when you put it down next to even the 3DS XL, the 3DS XL looks like a giant compared to it if you look at it the right way. And this is actually really interesting because now we have a device that is so small, the 3DS XL looks huge to it. And it has so much power compared to the 3DS XL, it's actually really crazy to think about. So here's a good shot of the system next to the 3DS XL, and you'll see what I'm talking about right here. And this system, obviously right next to the 3DS XL, can play Breath of the Wild straight up. Should be able to play Skyrim as we've seen. Mario, Odyssey, like all these games that we're talking about play on that little device, and the 3DS XL cannot play anything near that. It's amazing where technology is getting to at this point. What we can fit into some of these smallest tablets now can play these full-fledged games. And that's going to do it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think of Nintendo Switch form factor, Resident Evil 7 leaking, essentially, any other things we talked about here. Let me know in the comments, guys, what your thoughts are on everything. I'd be really curious to see how you feel about them. And definitely, guys, check us out tomorrow for more Newswave, and I'll see you then.